What's going on? Hello. Boom. Welcome back to another Lunch and Learn. We are talking about dating and anxiety through COVID. I'm Wendy, Lunch and Learn podcast, Holistic and Well. Thank you for tuning in and coming back to check out some more information about mental health. So, as someone that's single, I've been struggling, just to be really, really honest, about, good morning, just about dating and hanging out. And frankly, I just miss that skin-to-skin touch, whether it's holding hands, hugging, whatever it could be. And it's tough. We're at a year mark now, and this is not ideal. This is not how human beings are supposed to be. This is why isolation in prison is not a good thing. Is because it takes a toll on the human spirit. And we're all in that place. I know that I am. I am really struggling and having to dig deep inside to really be able to manage the loneliness and feeling isolated and feeling alone. So let's talk a little bit about COVID and how it has really changed dating forever. Let's face it, that ain't sexy. It's healthy, it's safe, but it ain't sexy. And human beings, we have this, at the end of the day, we're animals, and we have this mating dance that we do, per se, with each other to figure out if we're interested, if we're compatible, if there's chemistry, so forth and so on. And that's hard to do with the mask, and that's hard to do from this perspective digitally. So COVID has really changed the dating scene forever. I mean, let's face it. We're adults. I think everyone has probably had a one-night stand or two or three or four, whatever. No judgment here by any stretch. I got stuff in my past that I would share absolutely in a heartbeat because it's made me who I am. So there's no more Netflix and chill. Good morning. There's no more Netflix and chill. There's no more hanging, meeting someone and immediately going to be with them in a romantic way. Because if you thought STDs were scary, COVID is a lot worse for sure. And, STDs, you get a quick shot. You're done, boom, bang, bang. But with COVID, it's not that simple. You can be asymptomatic. I just talked to a client last night who is in Miami, and they are there for work and are with a group of people. And he tested asymptomatic. Had no clue, but they were requiring them to test. So it's just a game changer. COVID has done a number on the dating scene, and it is a game changer. At the end of the day, you are your safest sex partner, and that just speaks to you being able to know about yourself, being able to know what pleases you. So at some point you can share that information with your partner, but being able to explore yourself in a way to bring yourself pleasure is really important right now. And maybe that should be another topic we discuss, and I can have a guest on here that could talk a little bit more about that. But in reality, you are your safest sex partner. No, it's not as much fun. No, it's not as interesting. And at the end of the day, you're still missing out on that interaction with that human being. I was reading an article in, I think it might have been Forbes, but dating app usage has gone up 700%. 700%. That's crazy. Because people are trying to figure out, how can I connect? I mean, think about Zoom usage. I mean, Zoom should have had stock in Zoom a couple years ago. But the Zoom usage and Google Meet and Google Hangouts and all of the ways you can video chat, Skype, all of those are like the norm now. So it's important to understand and know that this is the next trend. Where's my mouse? So here's some dating apps. Some of them I've heard of, some of I haven't. So there's the ones that I think we all have heard. Bumble, Zoosk, Tinder, Elite Singles. I got on there and checked it out, and I think you have to have like a minimum threshold of income. which I guess, if that's your income bracket and you want someone in your income bracket, that's the thing to do. Good morning. eHarmony, Match, Black People Meet, Interracial Dating, Hinge, OkCupid. Those are all ones that I've kind of heard of. Here's some that I haven't heard of. 4 Gals, Looking for Guys, happening. Oh, Big Daddy says hi. That's my baby Z. I love him. Tell him his Gigi loves him. So happening, which I think is kind of similar to Bumble, where the women are the one that have to make the initiation. Meet Me. I've never heard of that. That's for dating after 40. Of course, Plenty of Fish, which is basically, in my opinion, a garbage can. It's just full of people that really just want to hook up and just want to be entertained. OkCupid. What are some other ones that I saw? Grindr. And, that's for, I've had some of my queer clients say they've been on Grindr, and that's basically a hook 'em up site. Her. So that's for queer and bisexual women looking to date other women. Coffee Meets Bagel. Now, that just seems like an odd name for me for dating. It could just be me. Good morning. Here's another one. Lumen, Dating After 50. Ship. This is for people that have a hard time making decisions. I mean, who would have known all these were out here? Hey Baby, for people who have kids, who want kids. So for folks that are in that stage or thinking about having a family, creating a family, I think that's kind of cool. The League, that's for the country club set. So another elite or affluent website. Lucid, for sober people looking for love. Upward is for Christian singles. Field, and this is for people that live a polyamorous or a non-monogamous lifestyle. And I think that's cool because right out the gate, you know what to expect. There's no hiding it. There's no disguising it. There's no omitting that information, because that's exactly what it's for. So I thought that was interesting to have all of these dating websites that are really catering to specific groups of people. So what can you do? Because at the end of the day, you're only in control of one person, and that's you. What can you do to minimize your anxiety or to be able to get out of the dating world and have that be manageable for you? The first thing I really think that you should think about is like having self-awareness. We have been at this for a year now. It'll be a year in March when most of us got locked down. And I have said to many clients, I have said to friends and family that I've spoken to, is that, good morning, is that people are used to having distractions readily available to them. And so that pertains to the dating world as well. So people have had to learn how to either go inward and have self-awareness and deal with themselves, and understand who they are. So that's first and foremost, is you've got to have that self-awareness to understand, who am I and what am I looking for? This is definitely something that I talk with quite a few of my clients about, especially couple clients, that have you been able to identify, like, what are you looking for in a relationship? And people will say things like, well, I want someone that's going to love me and be kind and be generous and all of these like adjectives or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, what do you really need from a relationship? And being able to narrow it down to 3 to 5 things that you are able to like identify really quickly. So for me, I've identified that like communication is super important for me. Companionship. I want a partner that wants to spend time with me. And also that I'm safe, that I feel safe emotionally and mentally safe with that person. Because then you can take those very specific things that you need, and you can dissect them into like, what do the actions look like that support that need. So being self-aware and really doing the work to know who you are. I do think that digital dating has been able to remove the distraction of the physical connection or the desire for sex. And I really truly believe that when you begin dating and you begin to have sex initially, and again, no judgment, because I'm 52 and I've had my share of experiences, life experiences. But when you involve sex really quickly in a new relationship, it really muddies the water. And Mother Nature did that on purpose, and that was so our species would continue to procreate and would continue to make more human beings so that we would not become extinct. But it also makes things really complicated, because you're kind of confusing all the chemical stuff that's being released, the dopamine and all the good stuff that's being released, as this love and this attraction, when in reality Mother Nature's just doing her job, and that's to make sure that we continue our species. But it makes it difficult, like for people that are codependent, people who struggle with very clear boundaries, people that struggle with saying no. You know, if you're somebody that struggles to say no and you have someone else that you're dating or seeing for the first time and they have a very strong persuasion game, that really complicates things. So digital dating has kind of made it easy in that regard, that you have that removed from this scenario. But being able to also say, like, what qualities do I want in somebody? And as well as like lifestyle choices. Am I okay if somebody smokes? Am I okay if somebody drinks? Am I okay if somebody smokes cannabis? Am I okay if somebody is an introvert and I'm an extrovert? I mean, being able to understand and know those things is super, super important. So being able to really have those conversations with yourself and being able to know, A, who you are, B, what you're looking for in a relationship, and C, what kind of like personality qualities that you want from somebody. Because if you remove the unknown and you have exactly what you're dealing with, then a lot of that anxiety is going to go away, because you can immediately begin to say, you know what, this person's not a good match, or this one has potential, this one is really great, because you have really been able to like narrow down and identify you and what you need and what you're looking for. There is a new terminology out there about being doing Fauciing, which basically just means like you get to choose. If someone has made it clear that wearing a mask and that they haven't taken our current situation with the pandemic serious, and they have elected to be a little bit more loose and free with their health and safety, then you absolutely 100% have the ability to not become involved with them. Good morning. So that's a pretty good, that's pretty cute terminology, is being Fauci'd or being Fauciing, is being able to say, you know, hey, if you haven't been serious about wearing a mask, then I don't really know if I want to be able to be around you. And again, that like cuts anxiety in half, because I'm being able to make that decision and I have the power and I'm empowered to be able to do that and know that, as long as someone's being honest. But that's the benefit of the digital dating piece, is that you get an opportunity to really begin to ask questions and understand who they are and figure out, is that someone I really want to invest my time in? So questions to ask: do you wear a mask? In what situations have you not worn a mask? Have you been tested? Do you think you've gotten sick? Have you been around people that have been sick? Those are all really important questions, because you could be around somebody, as we know, be asymptomatic, and you didn't have a clue, but you've passed it on. So those are important things to ask. Have you already been dating? That's a super important question. And if you have, how many people? And what was the situation? Were you in a closed space or an open space? Were you outside? How many people were there? Did you both wear masks? Did you unmask? What does that look like? Was it just like a walk in the park, or did you go to a restaurant and sit down? Those are all things that you are very much entitled to ask someone as you begin dating, because those are important questions, because whatever they've experienced is going to impact you, just like with STDs. You know, depending on how many people you've been active with, that's going to trickle down and impact you. So you have every right to be able to ask those choices or ask those questions so that you can make a choice about what are you going to do. And lifestyle choices, you know, are you looking to be monogamous? Are you looking for more than one situation, more relationship? You know, and I think people have gotten away from just having clear and very concise honesty, which is very frustrating as someone that's very direct and very honest to a fault. That is very tough for me to have to interact with someone who's very ambiguous or omits things and they don't feel that. So that's probably not a good fit for me right out the gate. But just stand your ground and know that you have the right to ask those questions and you have a right to know that information because that does impact you. A next tip is to really set the ground rules if you decide to meet in person after doing the digital dating. Or, you know, I've had some meet and greets where we didn't do digital dating. We've chatted on text messages. We might have video messaged. We've had phone calls and we both said, oh, okay, let's go ahead and meet in person. And what does that look like? Now, I have the benefit of being in an environment that I'm able to be outside the bulk of my time. Of course, there's environments where you're not able to do that. So, what are the ground rules? You know, are we driving ourselves to that location? Are we both planning on wearing a mask? Are we going to wear our mask for the full duration of the date? Are we just going to have dinner? Are we just meeting somewhere to be able to see if there's chemistry and if we are physically attracted, mentally attracted? What are the ground rules? You know, ask those questions. And if someone is unwilling to set ground rules, hey, that's a deal breaker for me at the gate. Because that already lets me know if you're not willing to set ground rules that you're kind of, in a very indirect way, really invalidating my needs. And if you're invalidating my needs on this very basic space, then I have to say, how's that going to look later on when we are deep in our entanglement? I love that terminology that Jada came up with, entanglement. But once you're deep into that situation and you have invested time and emotions, it's a little bit more difficult to back out. So again, that just really circles back around to that self-awareness. I'm what do I need and what am I expecting and what are the things that I need from this person? Because if they're not willing to answer those questions and they're not willing to set those ground rules, then that's a hard no for me. So digital dating, you know, what are the pros and what are the cons? You know, Skype, Google Meet, Google Hangout, Zoom. A lot of the apps actually have revamped and they've had to meet the demand that they have the video chatting inside of their app, which I think is great because then you don't really have to worry about sharing personal information, phone number. Because a lot of the video apps, you have to share your phone number in order to make that connection through that video app. So unless you get a Google phone number or something like that, you're sharing that personal information. And if we do that initial video conversation and I'm this ain't a good fit for me, I really don't know if I want you to have my phone number. I mean, I can block you, absolutely. And trust and believe I have done that. But it just feels safer to not have to share my personal information. So, you know, I know that Bumble has an in-app video chatting. I think Plenty of Fish, again, which is a garbage can of dating, in my opinion, has an in-app video chat. I believe Tinder might have created one. But do your research. You know, do your research and know. And as a woman, I love the apps where I make the first move because it really minimizes all of the bullshit. Where I'm able to go through the profile and I'm able to see what this guy is about, reach out, see if the conversation is something I want to continue. And you know, either say, not a good fit, or you continue moving forward with your dating process. So the pros, you get to do some pre-screening with digital And there's no expectations and there's no pressure to do in person, because there's the already in places that we have to figure out digital before we move forward. So it really removes the pressure, and you're able to really do those pre-screening questions and conversations to figure out, like, is this someone that I want to take the chance and go meet and see what they're about, hoping they've been honest about things, hoping they've been honest about their health care, but it allows you to do that pre-screening. And I always say, if people are dishonest, that shit will come out eventually. You just have to be tuned in, and you have to be listening, and you have to be able to feel comfortable in asking questions and being able to circle back around and say, well, but you thought you said this. That was my understanding. Can you clarify that for me? Being able to have those conversations and do that is so important. So, pre-screening. I think you get to have more intention with what that experience is going to look like. And I think right now, for a lot of people, I know for me, not everybody I talk to is I know somebody that I'm going to date. But being able to have the conversations and being able to meet new people and being able to just have that connection with someone, even if it's not important, in person. I'm having an issue with my speaking and conjugating my words this morning. In person, but you still get the benefit of meeting this person, and you never know what's going to come of it. They might become a good friend. They might have access to resources you need. They might have access to job opportunities. They might have access to your next boo. Who knows? So being open and being able to do the pre-screening, but have the intention of, like, what do I want this to look like? And again, being honest about that. Hey, digital has this benefit, especially if you're a guy that believes in chivalry and believes in, I'm supposed to pay and I'm supposed to do these things. You're saving money. Everybody's saving money all the way around, because you're not going out to a place that is overpriced. You're not spending money. I don't know about you guys, but I've been on dates where after the first 5 minutes, I'm like, but I've already ordered my food and I'm hungry and I'm there, but I could have eaten at home and saved that $20. So it's really about that you can save a little bit of money with the intention. It also prolongs the courtship. Again, I think that people, including me, have begun dating and the physical chemistry was really strong, or let's just face it, I wanted to have sex. And we became sexually intimate much too quick. And it really muddied the process, because then you have the sex piece involved, and that becomes the focus rather than the focus being us getting to know each other. So the courtship is prolonged, and I think it's safer, especially for us women, where things can get a little dicey and out of control really fast, especially if alcohol is involved. And let's face it, we don't know this person. We're going off what they've told us. We're now in a situation in person where we can see if the actions back up the words. And, I've been in some situations that have been like, this don't feel good. And I have excused myself to go to the restroom, and I have bounced because it has not felt safe for me. Digital is safe, especially if it has the in-app ability to call and do video. You are able to go through this bridge and make sure that this is someone that you really want to get closer to you, digitally and physically as well. I kind of spoke on this already. It gives you time to really get to know someone. And there's fewer distractions, because again, the intention is we've made this date to meet online and to talk to each other. And there are little to no distractions. There's not the waitress across the way. There's not that finance dude that came in the door. There's not the loud music. There's not the clanking of plates and silverware. You're not, maybe you do a date, a video date where you're eating, but it's going to be a lot different than if you are in person. So there are fewer distractions that might assist you in being able to make a more informed decision on, if you want to move forward with this person, or being able to stick to like your agenda of the questions and the things you want to know about that person, and you're able to be more transparent in your answers because it just feels safer and there's the intention involved. So, fewer distractions helps. The cons, I think, are, of course, again, we're animals. And we release certain body chemicals to alert other animals that we are available for mating. That's the biology and science of it. And I know some folks are going to not like that terminology, but that's reality. Is we're an animal, we release pheromones that attracts potential mates, and we don't have that ability to do that. We don't have the ability for the skin to skin. We don't have the ability for the eye contact in person, smelling the other person. Cologne is something like a man smelling good, a woman smelling good is super enticing and inviting. And, it's exciting. And we don't have that ability with digital. But flipping it and reframing it to the positive is that also can serve as a distraction, and we get off task and like really being able to connect with that person on a deeper level because we're so enthralled with the surface level stuff. Digital issues. How many of us have done video calls of where we freeze? I think there's a commercial where someone is talking. It might be around somebody is in the work environment and they just sit really still and they think they're frozen. The other person thinks they're frozen, and so they hang up. I haven't done that. I might have to do that. Except, of course, I'm in my van, and so I've got all the outside world and cars and stuff going by. That might give me away. But that can be a little bit distracting with how you are trying to interact with somebody if you have those digital issues. So at least make sure you've got a really good Wi-Fi connection, or that your phone has got a strong signal, so you can really be able to spend the time getting to know that person and not spend the time, what? Huh? What did you say? Can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you. Those kind of things. And then once you have invested the time and the energy into the digital, and you have maybe met in person, and you're like, okay, I want you to be in my day-to-day bubble. And I think that's like new terminology, is a social bubble. Make a plan. Make a plan. So that might mean that you both get tested and you both quarantine for a certain amount of days. That could be that you talk about, what has life looked like and what does it look like moving forward. It's all about the intention and being able to talk about what that's going to look like, so that you remove the uncertainty, you remove the unknown, which is naturally going to take your anxiety down to a more manageable space, a more manageable place, that you're able to be connected to this person 100% and give them your full attention, because you've released the anxiety, because you've put these things on the table and talked about what that looks like, and talked about how you want to move forward and what that means for you to be safe. So important to have those conversations. And again, if you're somebody that struggles to have a voice and to have those conversations, digital can be a really safe place, or even texting. I mean, I don't think texting should be used for very in-depth conversation, because you can lose a lot of the translation with body language and intonation and those kind of things. But it could be a great starting place where, like, these are the things that I want to talk about, and you've already put them on the table. And then you go to another format like phone call or video chatting, to where you can now elaborate on it. And you know what? I am always available if you have questions and be able to just bounce some ideas off of me. I'm always available. Just hit me up in my inbox on Instagram. You can email me at info@wendyhawkins.net. I'm always happy to answer questions and share information, especially regarding mental health and anxiety. Definitely my passion. So that's all I got for today. Dating has been an experience for me for about the last almost 6 years. I could tell you some stories about some of the men that I've met and talked to and I've been on a plethora of dating apps. And I've done a lot of work in healing on myself, and I'm just at a place of where I'm not willing to settle for less than what I'm looking for. And that doesn't mean perfection by any stretch. It just means that I know what I need in a mate, and if they're not able to provide that to me, which of course was that communication, that companionship, and that safety, then it's kind of a no-brainer for me. There's no looking for someone and falling in love with the potential of who they are. Been there, done that. I need someone to be exactly who they are right now and be exactly what I need right now. I deserve it, and so do you. So make sure you invest the time and energy in being able to convey your needs to someone, whether it's in-person dating or digital dating. So you take care, be holistic and well, and I'll see you next week for another episode of our Lunch and Learn through Holistic and Well. Take care. Bye-bye.